What we think has a major impact on every cell of our body. We're not in the moment at all at any point of time. That really scatters us. And once you get that knack of responding, pausing, you are controlling yourself. And that is an extremely powerful space to be in.
I know that a lot of other mothers also think the same. How much should you let your child sort of play in the mud and get dirty?
In this world of social media and comparisons, we don't realize when we slip into comparing ourselves to others and forget what is our true belief system and what are we authentically.
Diabetes is the most common sort of concern that a lot of Indians have. So tell us a little bit about how people can work towards reversing these conditions. Hi everyone, welcome to another episode of Happy Hour with FinCocktail. Today we have with us Neha, who is an integrative nutritionist and a health coach. She is also a speaker, author, and an entrepreneur. I didn't even know someone can wear so many hats. So please welcome Neha Ranglani. Hi Neha, welcome to the show.
Thank you. It's such a pleasure to be here.
I know. Siley had the opportunity to meet with you last year and I couldn't. So I thought that this time around, let me pick your brain a little bit.
Why not?
So tell us a little bit about your journey. How did you come to be an integrative health coach? More than that, actually, I don't even know what an integrative health coach or a nutritionist really means. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, so I started my journey in 2008 as a nutritionist after I graduated from SVT College in Juhu, with my specialization being in dietetics. And I was just any other conventional nutritionist that you would meet, just looking into people's food, what they are eating, correcting that. And while I was doing that, I was definitely not practicing what I was preaching.
Mhm.
You know how it is, you kind of just give gyan, but you're not really doing it. And then eventually, when I started seeing people getting results, I'm like, okay, this works.
It's working.
It's working. Let me pay attention to my own health and, let's start changing the way I'm eating, the way I'm, looking at food and perceiving food. So that changed. But then what started happening is I started noticing people reversing certain parameters and conditions in their body with just changes in their diet. So cholesterol started going down, diabetes started, blood sugar levels started getting better. And I was like, wow, this is working very well. But then with, more exposure into the field, I understood it's not just food on the plate, which has an impact on a person. A person is all about what they eat, how they live, how they think, how they move. Everything affects a human body and our health, right? So I was like, okay, I want to understand deeper how this works and how can we, holistically heal a person. So that's when I picked up integrative nutrition as my higher studies, and
Okay.
I studied about it.
Okay, so this is like an actual course that you can
Yes.
take.
So I did it from a US institute
Okay.
online, but that's when I invested my time and energy to understand more things that affect you beyond the plate. And that's when integrative nutrition and health coach happened. And now you see people as a whole. So you don't just see what's on their plate. In fact, that's the last thing I see. What I see is how they're sleeping, why they're not sleeping well, what can we do, what's affecting their sleep,
Just
what's
general
affecting their
lifestyle changes,
stress.
right?
Yeah, more than that, it's who the person is.
Hmm.
What's their background? Where are they coming from? What are their traumas? What are the emotions that they're not processing? A lot more deeper stuff than just how many carbs, protein, fats are there on their plate, right?
Yeah,
So that's
no,
the whole
I
concept.
totally get that because I remember seeing this video of yours where you said that you could be eating a plate full of broccoli,
Yeah.
but it may do nothing for you
Yeah.
if you're constantly stressed or in a state of constant irritation or
Yes.
something like that.
Yeah, because what we think has a major impact on every cell of our body.
Yeah.
It's always mind over matter.
Okay.
So if you are somebody who's very pessimistic, negative, constantly blaming and shaming and, maybe yourself or others, and not taking responsibility for your own life, not forgiving. There are so many people who are holding grudges against people or for on themselves, like they're just not forgiving themselves, and that has such a huge impact on every cell of your body, because your body produces
Stress
certain
hormones.
chemicals and hormones for every emotion and every feeling that you feel. So if you're constantly feeling negative, what is your body going to be flooded with? Negative emotions and negative hormones, and that actually reduces the function of your digestive system. And if that's affected, then obviously what you're eating is not getting absorbed and not getting utilized by your cells. So I always tell people, it's not what you eat, it's what you eat, digest, absorb, utilize, assimilate. That's what you are.
Yeah.
Because what you put in the mouth does not mean that your cells are healthy.
Yeah.
And to get to your cells to be healthy, there's a process, and you have to see what is stopping you from getting healthy at the cellular level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I understand that. But Neha, in today's day and age, there's stress everywhere.
Yeah.
Just our lifestyles have become this way. And even like, I don't want to demean it in a way, but I feel like small things also tend to bother us or bug us, and cause some kind of stress.
Yes.
How does one deal with this?
You have to start becoming centered.
Okay. And what does that mean?
Like, we're so scattered because A, we are multitasking, B, we are not taking our time to pause and rest and relax. And we're constantly on the go. There's this hustle culture, right? We are always on the go. We always want to get more things done, one after the other. If we are here right now, we're thinking about what after this.
Yeah.
We're not in the moment at all at any point of time. And that really scatters us. So obviously we are so shaken up already, and there's one stimulation that comes from outside which is not as per you or as you would want it to be.
Yeah.
And that shakes you more. So what happens is irritation, anger, frustration, and this is so unconscious. We're not even thinking, we're not even aware that can we respond differently? Do we really need to react? Does everything need a reaction? We're not asking ourselves that. And when I say you need to be more centered, what that means is work on yourself. How well are we breathing? Are you taking your breathing breaks? Are you even giving time to process the work that you've done now before you get on to the next? You're not doing that. You're always just working like a robot, one after the other. And that does not allow you to be centered. And when you're not centered, anything can shake you very fast.
Yeah.
So breathing, meditation, maybe just focusing on your breath, not even breath work, just focusing on your breath and coming to the present moment, using your senses to kind of dive into this present moment and just be with it. That centers you. So there are a lot of activities that people can do to center themselves. For somebody, it could just be music. For someone, it could just be having a good chat with a friend. It could be just having, a coffee date with somebody. You just need to find that activity that makes you feel calm, relaxed, and helps you to come back to yourself.
Wow, that sounds great. I mean, I think all of us need to do this kind of self-reflection, because we're just so caught up in things that you forget. Like simple things like breathing. I don't even think I think about
breathing.
this.
Yeah.
I don't even think about it.
Yeah.
It's not in my agenda of things. For me, for that matter, I think what centers me is reading, just my books every night, spending time with my son Krishiv. These are a few things that, help center me.
Yeah.
But, I feel like there's a lot more work that can be done in order to just take out that, those little frustrations out.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, sometimes even when I'm driving and somebody's just like cutting the lane, I get so mad.
That is actually one
And
thing.
It's something, and then it happens in the heat of the moment.
Yeah.
But then 5 minutes later, I was like, did I really get angry for this?
Yeah. So I was that person some years back where someone would cut me and I would probably
Abuse,
curse,
I'm
or just
always
get
the one
so
who's like,
irritated.
just saying some like gali straight away.
Yeah. And now it just doesn't bother. I'm like, you want to go first?
Please.
I will get to where I have to get to at my own time.
2 minutes
Even
late
if I'm
पहुंचेंगे
in a
क्या हो
rush.
गया? Yeah.
But that awareness that I don't want to react. I want to pause before my reaction comes out. So I want to respond. And in that awareness and self reflection, that do I really want to get angry on this? Because who's actually bearing the brunt of that anger? It's me, right?
Mm,
My body, my
absolutely.
mind, my cells are bearing that brunt. So do I really want my cells to go to that?
Yeah.
Do I really
I
want
mean, the
my
guy who
cells?
cut you is
Yeah,
not even going to hear you or
exactly.
sense that you're frustrated or angry
Exactly.
or
And
pissed
he's
off. And even,
gone.
yeah, and
He's
even
out
if
of your
he,
sight.
yeah, and
So
even if he does it, it doesn't matter to him at all.
exactly. It doesn't matter to anyone.
Yeah.
What matters is you. The way you react, the way you respond, it only matters to you.
Yeah.
So it's very important to understand that. And once you get that knack of responding, pausing, it's beautiful, because then you're in control. Then the outside world is not controlling you. You are controlling yourself. And that is an extremely powerful space to be in, I
Wow.
feel. And as a health coach, when you ask me, Neha, what is integrative health coach? This is what we do as health coach. We train people to get to that state.
Wow.
Yeah.
This sounds amazing.
Yeah.
So in today's day and age, there are so many nutritionists out there. Everyone's got a different thought process, different opinions,
Yeah.
different way of doing things.
Yeah.
What is, you know, a few pieces of advice that you would give somebody who is trying to set out as a nutritionist?
I think the biggest thing one needs to keep in mind is authenticity.
Okay.
Because in this world of social media and comparisons, we don't realize when we slip into comparing ourselves to others and forget what is our true belief system and what are we authentically. What do we really believe in? What is our ideology about life, about food? What is it that resonates with us? And we forget about that because we feel, oh, if that person is talking this and he has so many followers, or he's very popular, she's very popular, probably they are doing right and I don't know my shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that imposter syndrome sort of comes in, and you don't realize that they are they and you are you.
Yeah.
And we all are unique. And you know what? I feel this world needs so much help, and we all have gifts in us to share with people out there. So don't fall in the trap of copying or
Comparing.
emulating someone else,
Yeah.
because you are just unique. And find out what's your belief system and put that out. Be your authentic self. Preach what you believe in, even if 10 people do not believe in it.
Yeah.
But if you believe in it and with conviction, you can convince people that that's the right thing and you've seen results, then just go out there and speak your truth.
Yeah.
I think, and when you speak your truth, you are the most powerful person. Nothing can shake you, and you attract the best, and the right kind of people will gravitate towards you. I think that is important for anyone who's starting out. Forget nutritionist, any health coach, life coach, any person in the service industry. Speak your truth, be your authentic self. It's extremely
I
important.
really love this. I love this advice because I feel like Siley and me can really resonate with this because even in our field of, finance content creators, there are so many creators with so many different sort of opinions out there, different kind of content that they're putting out, that it's very easy for us to sort of get swayed from our belief system, just for those likes or followers. And time and again, Siley and me keep sort of pulling each other back and saying that, listen, no, this is not
our core.
Yeah, this
Yes.
is our core and this is not what we set out to do.
Yes.
So let's not even get into those mucky waters.
Yeah.
Let's do what we're good at, and whatever has to happen will happen.
Yeah.
It's okay if those likes don't come or if those followers don't come.
Yeah.
But at least we know that ethically we're doing the right thing.
Absolutely. And I feel so lucky sometimes. When I started off, it was not the world of social media. I started off 15, 16 years back, where Facebook was just used for personal
Posts
and
random
personal
birthday
updates,
wishes and
birthday
stuff like
wishes,
that.
and travel pictures and all. You were never putting out your work out there. Social media, like Instagram, when I'm saying about social media, I think Instagram is the biggest platform that can sway you away from your own belief system. And that just started about 5-6 years back for me. So my major chunk of my growth and my foundation was done in the non-social media era.
Correct.
Right? So for me, I think that was a blessing, because nobody was there to sort of impact me or influence me in the wrong way. Like, I never felt like, oh, am I doing something wrong? because there was nobody who I was comparing myself to. I was just like comparing myself to myself.
Yeah.
Did I do something wrong? No, I didn't like this result that the person got. So what should I change? It was me against me,
Yeah. Just bettering yourself.
or me versus me, and then me for me.
Yeah.
Like, it was never me against somebody else and be like, oh, I think that person is right, so I should be doing this. And I feel that was a blessing. But today people don't have that. You
Yeah.
cannot escape social media.
Unfortunately.
Even if you want to, every social channel is influencing you every second.
Yeah.
So you just have to know how to stick in your lane.
Yeah.
That's important.
So that brings me to my next question. How did your journey as a content creator really begin on social media?
So actually, I would see a lot of these YouTube videos where people were vlogging and blogging and just putting out information, keeping a mic and just talking. And some friends started, just suggesting me, Neha, you're doing good work, and I think you're a good speaker also. So why don't you just start making content? And I was like, no, really? I mean, who bothered about it, right? Then I was like, okay, I'll see. And then suddenly, I think my husband and I were sitting and having a conversation, and we said, should we just put out educative content out there? So we invested in a mic, and we invested in all the equipments that were needed to start off. And we started. My husband started shooting for me, and we had an editor on freelance basis. He would
Yeah.
edit my videos, and I started with YouTube first.
Okay.
It was my first platform that I was paying attention to. And I started making videos for YouTube, which did really well. And at that time, and then Instagram came in. So I was like, okay. And then the whole content format, how in social media, it's so futile
Constantly
and it's
changing.
constantly changing. And then the content has to be this way, the content has to be that way, it has to
Yeah,
be landscape, it has to be portrait, it has to be this. So then I moved to Instagram, and I started paying so much attention to Instagram that YouTube
Took a back
took a back seat. And I just put up stuff on YouTube once in a while, whenever I could. But the whole focus shifted to Instagram, and it grew. People were appreciating what I was putting out there. People were happy with the content. They were learning. And this whole education system sort of came up, right? Through social media. Everyone started becoming an educator. And that's how my journey started. So 5-6 years back, I paid attention to it, grew, did my thing. I was never behind followers. I just wanted to put out the right thing out there.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I wanted to make it look aesthetic.
Yeah.
My whole thing was that, okay,
it should look good,
it
and
should
I
look
should be
good,
saying the right thing.
and I should be saying the right thing. That's it. But yeah, it just flew.
Yeah.
It just flew with time, and it kind of fell in place. So yeah.
Nice. Very nice. So in my introduction, I mentioned about you being an author. Tell us something about the books that you've written.
So this whole journey of being an author started in 2019, and I wrote my first book. I completed my first book in 2020, and we
Pandemic.
got hit with COVID.
Yeah.
4 days before I was going to launch my book.
Oh my God.
Yeah, but I'll tell you the story behind writing my book. So I turned vegan in 2017, and I used to conduct classes and take vegan cooking classes. Vegan cheese classes were very popular. My vegan cheese classes at Food Hall, NSA, because we were the first people doing it. Nobody knew about vegan cheese at that time. Yeah. And I used to experiment with recipes. So when I would tell my clients, they would be like, okay, Neha, why don't you give us recipes and help us with something? We don't mind trying something new. So I said, okay, I'll have to compile this whole bunch of recipes that I've made now, and I'll give it to my clients. And I just started compiling them. And then I realized, okay, why am I just giving it to my clients?
Yeah.
Everyone can benefit
Let me
out of it,
publish
right?
Yeah.
Let me go deeper into it and give more information to people. So I started writing recipes, A, and B, I started making it a guide.
Okay.
So I started writing the right and the wrong of a certain meal. So I wrote the breakfast reboot. So the right and the wrong of that, and the right ways to eat it, what you should not do, the right practices basically around that meal. And I didn't realize when it turned into a book. Like, I had so much content that I could actually write. It was a book in my hand. And then I said, okay, I want to make this bigger. And the whole journey started. Then I started finding publishers. I didn't find anyone because it was COVID around that time, because it was a very tensed period at that time. And of course, I was a new author, so
Not many people were
Not many
willing.
people were willing or even wanting to sort of work. And I didn't even approach too many people
Mm.
after that. I'm like, you know what? I'll
It's okay.
publish it
Huh.
myself.
Mm.
So I just got into self-publishing. I made the cover, got a designer, designed it. And then the pandemic hit. So I was like, okay, now how do I launch it? Because it was my first book. I was supposed to do a nice launch event and all for it. Couldn't do anything. Then the pandemic wasn't going anywhere. It was just getting worse and worse. So I was like, I have to get this out. I have to get my baby out. And that was the right time because social media was really the thing during COVID. Everyone was on social media. So I said, I'll launch it on social media. And I got a great response. We did so much sales during COVID because everyone was trying recipes. Everyone was
They had that much time to
time.
be at
Everyone
home
had
and
the time and
experiment.
they were on social media. So everyone was checking out everything that's out there, that's new. And it was like COVID was literally a blessing in disguise for me when I was launching my book. I was like, okay, so you may think that something is actually not going the way you wanted to go, but it turns out to be better because
Mm.
divine and universe has better ways of surprising you,
Yeah.
with things. So I just went with it. And then COVID lasted. So I had a lot of time to write the second and the third. And then I wrote the beverage reboot and the dessert reboot.
Wow.
So that's how
I
3 books came to life during COVID.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I
the
must
3
get
years.
my hands on these copies for
Yes,
sure.
yes, sure.
So all of us try to like eat healthy, maintain a balanced diet, work out, do a lot of things for ourselves. But sometimes stress eating can be really like hitting you hard. And I know that because I'm a bit of a stress eater, but Siley is a major stress eater. Like, otherwise, if you see her eating her meals, she's barely eating anything. She's eating like one roti with sabzi, like, very, very
Balanced.
balanced, like small portions usually. But if like some kind of stress is there, then she's like going for those chips and those french fries and everything.
Yeah.
So, Neha, tell us, how does one really control this kind of stress eating?
I think you rightly pointed out the world today is indulging in stress eating and we are not aware about it because there's so much food easily available around us. The Swiggy, Zomato, you just have to, at the tip of your finger, food is on at your doorstep. And if nothing, we have so much of junk lying around us and we are grazing the entire day in the name of hunger, which is not hunger. It is just soothing yourself with
Mhm.
food. You want to numb your emotions. And the world doesn't want to feel their emotions. That's why we have people who are so emotionally not healthy because we don't want to process emotions. So if you're feeling angry, upset, tired, bored, we want to escape that feeling. We don't want to feel that feeling. So we are not feeling it, we are not healing
And you're
it.
distracting yourself
And
with food.
yeah, and it's suppressing, and we're suppressing it, and it's getting stored in our system. And we want to soothe and distract ourselves. So we want to feel better in the moment, right now, instant gratification. So we reach out to all these junk foods that are around us. We eat them. Of course, they are great for our palate and for our taste buds, but they're definitely not good for our gut. And they're not good for our body overall because when you're eating in that state, like I said, every state, your state of mind produces those hormones, right? So when you're eating in that state of mind, which is anger, upsetness, boredom, which is not the happiest state of mind, you're producing those stress hormones in the body. And when you're eating that food, your
It
body is
doesn't
not able to process it. It's not able to do anything with it, like process it and, absorb,
digest, absorb.
utilize all that I said. And you're also feeding the bad microbes in the gut because that food then becomes food for the bad microbes. So you're affecting your gut health, your overall health. And basically you're in the, you're in this downward spiral of emotional eating and poor gut health.
Yeah.
You're always juggling between that, right? And that is something that's affecting most of us. So the first thing first that you have to do is get aware of your emotions. You're feeling in a certain way, feel it fully. Do not escape it. Acknowledge it that okay, I'm feeling bored, I'm feeling angry, I am upset, and then breathe. So this method is called stop, pause, drop. Okay? So you stop and you ask yourself, what am I feeling? Then you pause before you reach out for that food. And in that pause, you're giving yourself time to consciously take an action. You're not doing it unconsciously. And then you drop the idea of doing it and distract yourself with something else. So ask yourself, do I really need that piece of cake? Do I really need that packet of chips? And if the answer is yes, well, go ahead with it. But now you did it consciously. You didn't do it unconsciously. So two, three, four times you'll have yes as an answer. Maybe the fifth time it'll be like, okay, no, maybe I can do something better, because now the awareness is building. And then if the answer is no, well, you don't have to go for it, but you want to still process your emotions. So journal it out, talk to a friend, go for a walk. Movement, I think, is the best way to process emotions. When you move your body, you're really allowing the emotions to move out of your system, and you're allowing your state of mind to get better because you're producing the endorphins and the good hormones. So instead of going for that food and ruining your gut and worsening your gut microbiome and getting into the vicious cycle of stress eating and poor gut health, stress eating and poor gut health, because your poor gut also causes stress, and stress eating affects your gut
So
health.
it's like a vicious
It's
circle.
it's a vicious cycle. So instead of getting into that whole vicious cycle, just go out, get some fresh air, breathe, go for a quick walk and come back, or just dance it out, or scream aloud, like roar like a lion in front of the mirror. Get the emotion out. Don't suppress it with food, and don't numb it with food.
Wow.
That's very important. People need to understand that stress eating is damaging the world today.
Wow. That's a great piece of advice. Thank you for that. So Neha, I've got my very, very precious little boy out
The star of the show.
for this one question. That I as a mother also sort of don't know what the right thing to do is. And I know that a lot of other mothers also think the same. Is how much should you let your child sort of play in the mud and get dirty?
I just put out that reel about a couple of days back, and it's really been very well received and appreciated, because our mothers didn't have to be told that please let your kids go down and play.
We were always playing in the mud.
Always muddy. We were dirty. We would come up, we would have to take a shower and literally clean ourselves, because every nook and corner of our body was dirty. Today, the mothers have to be told that please let your child go down and play, because A, there's extreme obsession about hygiene
Yeah.
and cleanliness.
Yeah.
And sanitization and all of that, which is clearly killing our gut microbiome and our kids' gut microbiomes. And this whole thing about nahi mera bachcha ganda ho jayega and the knee will get dirty and scraped.
and
We all have scraped knees. We've all grown up healthy. But the idea is that you need to let your child play in that mud, because the mud does so much good to the child. It's Mother Earth.
Yeah.
Mother Earth has all the stuff that we need for our growth and for our well-being, which we don't have to tell the Mother Earth that please add into your soil. She gives it to us, generously.
Yeah.
So the soil has so many amazing microbes
Yeah.
and microbiome, like the whole soil microbiome is so good for the child's gut health, overall health, because when the child is playing,
Yeah.
putting it little in the mouth, putting on himself, his whole body is getting covered with the soil,
Yeah.
which is allowing the good bacteria to get into his body. And also today, a lot of mothers are having C-sections,
Yeah.
right? Normal deliveries
I had
have
a
become...
C-section, yeah.
Yes. So when you're actually pulling out a child from the stomach directly rather than the vagina, you are bypassing that step where the child gets exposed to the mother's vaginal bacteria, which builds his microbiome. So the children today are not getting that. Like Krishu,
Yeah.
you need to play in the soil, baby.
Yes, you have permission to get as dirty and mucky as possible from Miss Neha.
So that's the whole idea. So when you're allowing your child to play out there, at least that is helping the child's microbiome, which your C-section sadly couldn't do.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
it's very important.
Amazing. Thank you so much. See, thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Oh my God.
Thank you.
So cute. See, he was cooperative. Huh?
Yes, very, very. He's my little dingo. Earlier in the chat, you mentioned something about, you being able to reverse certain health conditions that people
Yeah.
had, like cholesterol or diabetes. Tell us a little bit about that, because diabetes is the most common sort of concern that
Yeah.
a lot of Indians have. Even globally, Indians are the worst in terms of diabetes. That's
Yeah.
what I've read.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about how people can work towards reversing these conditions.
Well, what did you hear about diabetes as a kid? One
कि
statement about diabetes.
बहुत
that we-
मीठा खाओगे तो डायबिटीज हो जाएगा.
नहीं, and diabetes हो गया तो? Haven't you heard this statement? Once a diabetic, always a diabetic?
Yes. Yes.
Heard
हाँ
about it?
मतलब निकलेगा तो नहीं.
हाँ, हमेशा से सुना है
Yeah,
बचपन से.
yeah.
थायराइड है तो दवाई तो लेनी पड़ेगी ना
हाँ,
जिंदगी भर.
हाँ,
सुना है ना ये.
हाँ.
अच्छा. एंड कोलेस्ट्रॉल है तो
तो भी
स्टैटिन्स तो जरूरी है. ब्लड प्रेशर है
100%.
तो कैसे दवाई नहीं लोगे,
हाँ
स्ट्रोक हो
बीपी की एक
जाएगा,
बार
हार्ट
मेडिसिन
अटैक आ
शुरू
जाएगा.
हो गई तो लाइफ लॉन्ग लेनी
हाँ,
पड़ेगी. दिस
किसी
इज
ने
कॉमन. या वी हियर दिस अ लॉट.
या एंड किसी ने बोला है कि डायबिटीज हुआ है, कोई बात नहीं, इसको रिवर्स करने की कोशिश करते. हाउ मेनी पीपल,
Literally no one.
हाउ मेनी
I
पीपल
didn't even know this concept
speak
existed
this language?
till I read, your bio on your page, and till I heard you mention it in our conversation today. I didn't even know it was
Exactly.
possible.
Exactly. That's because we have taken it as a norm that diseases are a normal part of your aging process. And once you get a disease, you have to live with it or you have to live on medications. That's become the norm, right? And anyways, disease, the word only is so scary because we've created so much fear around it. But the whole idea of disease is dis-ease. Your body is not at ease. Why is your body not at ease? That's the question. It is supposed to be treated in a certain way and it's not being treated in that way. It needs certain raw materials and prerequisites for it to work at its optimal. It's not getting all of that. So there's an imbalance in the body. Your body is not broken. Your body is not betraying you. Your body loves you more than you love your body, because right now, while you and me are talking, our body is doing trillions of functions which you and me are not aware of also. So the body is constantly doing its best to keep us at an equilibrium state of balance. But when we are not giving it the right food, the right ways of living, lack of sleep, so much stress, how is the body going to be in balance? So whatever we are seeing as symptoms, say high blood sugar level, thyroid imbalances, blood pressure, cholesterol, these are all imbalances and these are all signs that our body is saying, listen, I need help. Please pay attention to me right now, because what you're doing to me, I'm not able to keep up with it.
Right.
But we are not listening to that. We're like, shut up.
I'll take
a medicine and we'll go on like this. And then eventually we'll end up with a fatal disease and we're like, our body's betrayed us. Our body never betrayed us. It was always giving us sign signals. We never heard it. And then we started blaming our body. मेरे तो जीन्स ही ऐसे, my mother had it, my father had it, age के साथ तो ये होना ही है, कोई ना कोई disease आनी है. We start talking this language. And that is not what our body is all about. Our body is such an intelligent machine on this planet Earth, created by the creator. The most intelligent creation of the creator is the human body. And it is so meticulous in its functioning, provided we do the right things with it. So the whole idea is that especially diabetes, cholesterol, thyroid, these are all lifestyle disease. Now, how do you treat lifestyle with drugs? If something is causing a disease, you have to treat it by reversing that, right? So if your lifestyle is causing a problem, you have to correct your lifestyle. Why are you putting a band-aid on it with a drug?
Yeah.
That's the most common sense ideology that people do not think about.
Yeah.
So when you start doing the right thing, when you feed your body the right way, when you start living in the right way, your body starts doing the right thing, and we call it reversing diseases. Basically, what you did was getting your body back into a state of balance. So all the symptoms and signs you were seeing, you're not seeing those, and now you're like, okay, you've reversed the disease. Basically, you've just got your body in balance, and the dis-ease has now become ease. And that is what the whole idea of reversing disease is, and people need to understand that.
Wow. Great. You mentioned you're a vegan. I know a few of my friends that are vegan. People are also like, being gluten free.
Yeah.
A lot of different dietary requirements or restrictions. But this doesn't come cheap, in my opinion. I could be very wrong about this. What is your opinion about that? How does one maintain a nutritious or a vegan or a gluten-free diet, whatever is required for your body, at the same time, not sort of spend a lot of money doing it?
The biggest myth around the health industry is that eating healthy will burn holes in your pocket. But that doesn't happen. If you eat smartly and you choose the right ingredients, which are nutrient dense but not expensive. Not every ingredient has to be bought from a supermarket by paying like 3 times the amount for it. Not everything has to be sourced from China or US or UK. These are not the ingredients that we need to be healthy. We need our basics. So if you're paying, say, around 40 rupees a kg for your wheat, you can pay 20-25 rupees for your millets for the same amount and get double the amount of nutrients and health in lesser amount. So it's just about how you plan your meals and what are you choosing. And everything does not have to be almond and cashew rich and all the expensive nuts and seeds. You can eat your peanuts and be healthy. You can eat your till and flax seeds, which are so cheap and so inexpensive, and still be healthy. Like, these are things that a normal Indian,
Yeah.
a middle class Indian can afford.
Yeah.
So this whole myth around healthy eating has to be expensive is really something that needs to be busted now.
Yeah.
You do not need to live with that notion in mind कि अगर मैं healthy खाऊंगा मेरे को बहुत महंगा पड़ेगा. Okay, yes, you may be spending few more bucks on few more things because now you want an array of nutrients in your daily diet so that you're nutritionally balanced. But then you're definitely spending lesser money on medical bills, hospitals, medicines, treatments, because your body will not need any of that if you're giving it the nutrients it needs. So think of it in that way. A, it's not that expensive. B, even if you have to add few ingredients which are necessary for your health, say you need more magnesium and you need more zinc, so you'll eat more seeds and you're spending little more for seeds in your monthly budget. But then those seeds are giving you those nutrients for which you won't have to supplement them later, and you will not have to go to the doctor for muscle ache and joint pains and all of that. I'm just giving you a random example. But this is the thought shift and the mindset shift that we need to have. That if well planned, even your healthy foods can be inexpensive and it can fit in your budget, and it will save you from a lot of medical issues in the future.
Yeah. So, for me, when I have my friends coming over for dinner, usually I'm not stressed at all because I know like what most of them like. But I have a couple of friends that are vegan, that are gluten free, and every time I have to think.
I hope you don't tell them घर से खा पी
नहीं
के
यार
आना.
नहीं, मैं विराज गिलानी नहीं हूँ, मैं उनको नहीं बोलूंगी ऐसे कि घर से खा पी के आना.
क्योंकि मैं vegan हूँ और मैं समझती हूँ ये statement was personal.
Yeah, I know, I can imagine. But it's still, being a non-vegan, it's kind of a little bit like I don't know what I can serve you. You know, I can maybe make one or two dishes, and then I'm a little bit stuck because you can't use dahi, you can't use milk, you can't use cheese. There's a few things that you very often use, ghee, that you can't use for them. So that kind of like boggles me as to what options I can even give them to eat.
Okay, well, let me solve that problem for you. Instead of ghee, you can always use your normal oil or coconut oil for cooking. If like the dish goes well with it, say you're making Thai curry, so coconut oil can easily be used because you're using coconut milk, so it's the same flavor, right? And cheese, you get some amazing substitutes in the market today, so you can either make vegan cheese at home if you have the flair for cooking. If not, you get it readily available. A lot of people at home, like home bakers and home chefs, are now making some amazing vegan cheese at home. Paneer, you can easily substitute with tofu or silken tofu, and that goes very well as a paneer replacement in any dish. And besides that, dahi, again, you have substitutes. I have my own dahi vegan curd brand in the market called Yogati, which is made with cashew curd. It's available at Nature's Basket and a lot of other places. And again, it's super versatile. You can make anything out of it, like you make stuff with your normal dahi, curry, raita, chas, chaat, everything. This is your substitutes. But if you don't want to invest in any of this, your normal dal chawal, your dal tadka, your chawal, your sabzis, your mixed vegetables, and all of that are all vegan. Your noodles is vegan. Your Chinese, like a exotic vegetable stir fry, is vegan. Your Thai curry is vegan. Okay, khawswe is vegan.
Now you've given me enough options.
Your arrabbiata pasta can be easily made into vegan. Just the parmesan should be out, and rest everything else goes super well. I've given you so many dishes. Now you're set to serve. I'm set for at least 3-4 parties. I'm good.
All right. So this is a great segue into the next question that I wanted to ask you. about you being an entrepreneur.
Hmm.
And you did mention your
Yeah.
brand of vegan yogurt.
Yeah.
So tell us a little bit about that.
So my vegan yogurt brand is called Yogati, and before Yogati came into existence, that is about 2 years back, I actually launched my snack brand called Niramaya. Niramaya in Sanskrit means freedom from illness. And this was again just in the interest of clients. I never wanted to make it retail like an FMCG brand, and I have still not done it. It's very non-commercial. The products that I have was not done with a commercial interest in mind, like having like huge sales out of it. It was created or curated keeping the interest of the clients in mind, that I want them to feed on healthy snacks. And when I planned the recipes, I decided to get these home chefs and home bakers to make it for me in small batches. And the ingredients we use are all clean, no preservatives, no chemicals get into my products. So we have cookies, khakras, bars, laddus, so all of that. And these are all really made with absolute natural ingredients and no chemicals and stuff going into it. So that's the reason why I don't want to scale it up. But that was my first baby as an entrepreneur, where I actually started, and now my clients are hooked onto it because they know what they are eating. So there's trust, there's credibility, and there's also taste for them, right? And then Yogati now came into existence 2 years back, because when I turned vegan, I realized I have substitute for everything, that can woo my palate, but I don't have a good substitute for dahi. Like, I love chaat. I'm a chaat fanatic. I love chaat. It can be my go-to meal at any point of time. So I didn't know how to have my dahi puri,
Yeah.
my dahi papdi chaat, because nothing was tasting as close to normal dahi, right? And then this product came into existence because we worked on it, and we created this product without any chemicals, without any preservatives again. It stays for 30 days on the shelf without preservatives. And we are already serving vegan chaat at Punjab Sweet House in Bandra with this
Wow.
dahi. So they have a special menu of vegan chaat, and it's doing phenomenal because people, even non-vegans, now want to try it, because it's not just vegans, right? You have lactose intolerance,
Yeah.
you have people who have dairy allergies. It just doesn't suit their gut. So for these people, the vegan chaat is like a treat. And it tastes, I mean, you have to try
Just as
try
good,
it. You have
yeah.
to try it for yourself. You cannot tell the difference, because
Wow.
the owner of Punjab Sweet House could not tell the difference once the chaat was made out of it.
Wow.
Yeah.
I
so,
must get my hands on this
yeah,
yogati dahi for
cashew
sure.
dahi. And you should try the curry out of it, the chas, the raita.
Everything tastes like normal.
Yeah, and it goes
The
into
same.
any recipe like your normal dahi does.
Wow, that's amazing.
It's creamy, smooth, and it has a nice creamy texture to it. So yeah. So that's how this whole journey started. And I'm very excited about this whole entrepreneurial thing, because it's new and it's very exciting. You're putting out something out there which is solving a problem.
Yeah.
For me, it was never about, I want to create products which will make me the money. Money has never been the driving factor for me. It's always been, what am I putting out there? How am I helping people?
Yeah.
So what problem am I solving?
Yeah.
So here, this was a huge problem which I solved for myself. And then there are many
You're
others
now
like
helping
me.
so many people solve it.
Yeah, who love dahi but could not eat because they're vegan or dairy allergic or whatever. And
Yeah.
then the problem is solved. So I think my entrepreneurial journey is fueled by problem solving and not by money as the goal.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, since you've mentioned money, let
Yeah.
me get to my next question. How much does a typical nutritionist earn? And what's your personal journey been like from the time you started till today?
So I'd like to answer the second part of the question first, that how did I start off and what was my journey like? I started off in 2008 as I graduated, while my other friends were choosing to study further. I wanted to work because somehow I felt there was a lot of value in applying whatever I had studied for those many years, because, without application, you really don't learn much. And without implementing whatever you've learned. So I said, okay, I'll take up a job. I took up my first job in a very popular gym in Bandra that paid me 6,000 rupees. And I was so happy that I was earning 6,000 rupees a month. And the next job, after a year, paid me 6.5. And that was a little far from my house. I used to pay 4,000 for fuel.
What?
and save 2,000 rupees. And my dad used to be so upset. He's like, I'll give you the 6,000 rupees. Why are you going and working? I'm like, you can't get me the clients.
Yeah.
You can't get me the practical work that I'm doing. So It's not the money, it's really me going out there and learning things, right? And then I realized I wanted to be my own boss, so I started taking clients at home, because of course I had no money to spend for clinic, rent, staff, all of that. So I was like, okay, I'll take it from home. And clients were very sweet. Then this is again in that 15 years back, it
Yeah.
was, we lived a little more simpler life than
Yeah.
this, right? Than we're living today. So clients were happy to come home from my living room. I would see them. That continued for good 6 7 years, 7 8 years.
Wow.
And then I moved into a clinic space, and then of course I had overhead, so I had to increase my rates. Then I had to pay rents, I had to pay salaries. So if you ask me today what a typical nutritionist would earn in a job, I think the salaries would have gone up to around 20,000, maybe starting salaries.
Okay.
Back then was 6,000.
Wow.
And every nutritionist earns differently, because it's not like um, it's not set in stone, right? What
Yeah.
your job demands and what your role is going to be, because there's so much that a nutritionist does.
It
You
depends
can
on
do so much more.
on the number of clients, the kind of clients, the kind of like sort of interaction, level of
Yeah.
interaction that you need to have with them.
Yeah, and
All the
where,
different factors.
yeah, and how experienced you are in the field. So if you're doing a job, then it could be anything from 20 to 50,000,
Yeah.
or even a lakh, depending on what's your position in the company. But if you're you're working for yourself, you're self-employed, you're a freelancer, then depends what you're charging, what's your experience like. So a newbie would charge about 3,000 a month. Somebody who's more experienced would charge about 5,000, 10,000 a month, and it can go up to even a lakh.
Wow.
Depending on where you are, what's your education like, what are you,
And this is per client.
yeah, and
Mm.
what is the problem that you're solving, and how good you are at your work, right? So I think it's a very subjective field. You can't have one number.
Yeah.
You can't put a number to this, that okay, this is the number a nutritionist will earn. Having said that, the opportunities are endless in this field, right? Because like I said, the world needs you.
Yeah.
The world needs more coaches, more nutritionists, because clearly we're not going in the right direction.
Definitely
And
not.
now after COVID, I think there's a lot of awareness about health and self-care and self-love, and investing time, money, energy in your own self. I think that awareness has sort of risen. So coaches and nutritionists are really doing well, and there's definitely scope. So there's a lot you can do in this field, and there are a lot of ways to make money in this field, which is actually a blessing. But then you
Wow.
have to work your way up. It's not an easy field. Having said that, it's not an easy journey. Nothing comes on the platter. You have to work for it. So if you're ready to put in that
That's really true of any sort of
consistency and
profession.
dedication, then you can go places.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's right. It's for any profession. But when you're in a job and you're drawing a certain salary, it's still not that much of a burden and a pressure.
You're okay. You're in that comfort zone. You know that every month the paycheck is going to hit
Yeah.
your account.
Yeah,
And-
nobody's giving you that
Yeah,
paycheck. It's
yeah.
you working on yourself, and the more you work on yourself, the more valuable you become out there
Yeah.
for somebody to come and work with you, and that's when you make the money. So it's a constant effort that you need to put in.
Yes, absolutely. So you mentioned that there are endless opportunities in this field.
Yeah.
So what are the different like sort of sources of income or streams of income that one can actually look at having while being a nutritionist?
There are many, because it's a very creative field. So definitely counseling and coaching is one thing, which should be a major chunk of income, because that is what you should be primarily doing if you want to become a nutritionist or a coach in a sort of a personal consultation setup, right?
Sure.
Apart from that, you could be freelancing, you could be a speaker, so you could be speaking at different organizations and schools and charge for your speaking engagements. Then you could become a recipe developer. You could plan healthy recipes for restaurants, for companies. Social media is so open now. You could
Yeah.
become a health influencer and do influencing in the right way. Responsible influencing is what I call it, and choose the right brands and right products that you could speak about and educate the audience. Then you could do retreats, health retreats. There's so much,
Wow.
like I said, it's very creative, and the more creative you get, the more valuable you become, and the more people are ready to pay for your service then.
Wow.
So
Very interesting.
it's really opening up your mind and thinking out of the box
Yeah.
to see how you can be different and do different things in this
Yeah,
field.
yeah. Because for me, when I think of a nutritionist, it's always about that personal counseling. That that they'll give me a meal plan, and I have to follow that. And then you don't think of them as any of these other sort of roles that you
Mm.
just mentioned.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to think of you doing so much. It's amazing that you write books, you counsel people in the right direction, you also are an entrepreneur with your own sort of business, and you are a speaker. So that's crazy. It's
Yeah.
amazing how you manage all of this.
So for me, well, it was never about putting myself in a box. Like you
Yeah,
rightly said, when you think about a nutritionist, you always think about the personal consultation that a
yeah,
nutritionist does with you. I never put myself in that
yeah.
box. I was like, okay, that's one part of me,
So always
but
want to do something more.
what can I do different which excites me? So
Yeah.
for me, always it was the curiosity and the excitement which drove me towards the next and the next and the next.
Hmm.
It was never the money. I was very happy with the money I was drawing out of the work, but the first drive was always the excitement to try something new and for me to experience something that I haven't ever experienced.
Yeah.
And that high and that joy and satisfaction that that work would give me would drive me to do something else and something better and bigger. So never put yourself in a box is what I would tell nutritionists. You're a nutritionist, but there's so much you can do around food because nutrition is all about food. So don't put yourself in that box and don't confine yourself in that with that label. you
Definitely.
know
Definitely.
that's very important.
So now this brings me to the question that I ask everyone who comes on the show. Sally and me both ask everyone who comes on the show. What do you do with your own personal finances? How do you manage your own money?
So, you know what? I have always had a science background. I've never studied accounts. I've never studied numbers. I've never studied maths after my 10th. Like, literally in college, I was studying science, bio, chemistry. So, I was not good with numbers and money. So, I'm super blessed that my husband manages my money and he invests stocks, mutual funds, startups, whatever it is. It's he who thinks about it. And of course, I have a friend who's actually an investment banker, and it was with the help of her that we started investing
Okay.
a couple of years back. And she guided us in the right way. We invested money in the right uh, sips. It's called sip, right? If I'm
Yeah,
not wrong, you are
SIPs.
the
Yeah, yeah,
expert
yeah,
here.
yeah, yeah.
So SIPs and the right stocks, and just not doing really big trading, but playing smart and playing
Safe
safe
and long term.
and in the radar.
Hmm.
Not like
Something out of the
not being
box which you don't
very yeah
understand.
not being very
Risky.
adventurous with our investments, and that has worked.
Yeah.
That sort of works because your money is growing slow steady, but you're sleeping sound at night because you know that tomorrow morning it's not the fear that, oh, what did I do with my investment? I took
Yeah.
a big risk, so what's the outcome like?
Yeah.
We're not playing that. We're
Yeah.
playing slow steady and we are happy with that.
Absolutely.
And yeah, so it's just that investing in the right places. Now I'm learning a little bit. So
Hmm.
my husband is like, you need to know what I am doing with your money because you need to be aware of it.
I'm glad that he's brought this up as opposed to you being like, I need to know what I need.
No, he told me, he said, this is where you need to sign in. These are your stocks. These are your mutual funds. And please know that this is doing well. Now tomorrow I'm going to sell this because this is not doing well. Today I just bought this because this is doing well. And I'm like, okay. So now the numbers are making sense. It doesn't seem alien.
Yeah.
What I'm seeing on the screen doesn't seem alien. So he's also training me slowly and steadily to understand what the game is. But yeah.
It's good. It's always good to keep learning. It's definitely very important to know where
Yeah.
your own money is
Yeah.
invested.
Yeah.
Because more often than not, you just sort of entrust it to somebody to do it, and you're like, ho raha hai, kuch to ho raha hai. You don't know.
Yeah.
But you should at least have a basic knowledge
No, he
of
was.
what's really going on. And like you said, I think it's a good thing that you're doing by being conservative, being, steady, investing in stable stocks
Yes.
or mutual funds.
Yes.
Because when it's not something that you're doing on a daily basis, now you're not a trader, you're
Yeah.
not a financial analyst.
Forget
You're
that. I
not
don't even understand numbers.
exactly
I'm telling you.
exactly. So it's not something that you do too often,
Yeah.
and that's why you should not be doing things that are risky.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I think it's best to sort of let it grow at its own pace and not meddle around too much with it.
Yeah. And I think one more thing I would like to advise people is that if you're somebody like me who doesn't understand numbers, then I think they should take help of people like such as
Absolutely.
you and experts such as you. Like, how just you don't understand your body, you don't understand how to reverse diabetes, you'll come to somebody like me. But when you don't understand numbers, they should come to somebody like you and take expert guidance and help
Absolutely.
to just help their money be in the safe place and grow peacefully.
Yes,
You
yes.
know, so I think that's super important.
No, it's definitely very important
Yeah.
because more often than not, people get very carried away with like making a quick buck.
Yeah.
सबको पैसा डबल जल्दी करना है.
Hmm.
And in that sort of race, you
हेल्थ
sort of
हेल्थ आधी हो जाती है उसमें, पता
हेल्थ
है?
आधी हो जाती है, स्ट्रेस बढ़
Mental,
जाता है,
emotional,
मेंटल,
सब हेल्थ आधा हो
और
जाता है.
पैसे तो यार गॉन फॉरएवर.
उस वजह से हेल्थ आधी हो जाती है.
Exactly.
आपका पैसा डबल करने के चक्कर में वो भी नहीं हुआ और हेल्थ भी आधी हो गई.
Exactly. So it's best to stay away from like risky things like
Yeah.
that, especially if it's not your forte.
Absolutely.
Let somebody who's good at doing this
Do
manage
it for you. Yes.
Just have that communication, that trust with that
Yeah.
person and let them do their job well.
Yeah.
Like even in your case, if you're investing in mutual funds, you're trusting your money to the fund manager
Yeah.
to do his job well.
Yeah. Yeah.
And you know that so are lakhs of other people.
Yeah.
So you have that confidence that at least my money, I don't want double the returns in like 20 days or
Yeah.
1 month or 1 year also.
Yeah.
But you know that at a steady pace,
Slow,
it will be growing.
Yeah. I
It's
mean,
okay,
eventually when you turn back after a couple of years, you'll be like, oh, I invested this. It's come to this. That's a good chunk, yeah. And you're happy with it
Yeah. Because your money is doing its own job. You're not
Exactly.
really doing anything.
Yeah, exactly.
You're
And
not
you're
putting
doing
that
it
too
like
much
you rightly
effort.
said.
Yeah.
You do it safely and you're not taking bigger risks. So obviously you're in a happy space then,
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So on a leaving note, would you like to give us all a very like valuable piece of advice?
Since today we are talking about health and wealth, let me align it with that. I think it's very important to invest in your health, by which I mean seek professional help, because I've seen a lot of people ruin their health in this whole trial and error game, and they think that they can do everything by themselves and they know it all because there's so much knowledge available out there. So we feel we are our own nutritionists and own health coaches, but we are not, because clearly somebody else understands your body and can guide you better and save you and spare you a lot of torture and save your time, money, energy also. And also invest in your wealth. So I feel it's been a huge boon for me after I took help and seeked help of my friend who's into wealth management. So I think it's so important to invest in the right places, and to grow your wealth also they need to seek help of someone as you and experts into the wealth space, because that's when your health and wealth are in a safe space and you're growing both.
Both are doing well.
Yeah, and clearly you're living a better life.
Yeah, absolutely. That's
Yeah.
an amazing piece of advice. This was such a great chat, Neha. I got to learn so much from you. And I got to know so many different things and think from so many different aspects that I don't think generally I would do. So thank you so much for joining us on this episode today.
Thank you. I had so much fun. Thank you for this. I hope you had a great time as much as we had with this podcast and listening to everything that we had to say about health and wealth. So don't forget to like, comment, subscribe to their channel FinCocktail, and we would love to hear from you in the comment section below.
Super.